And I was telling about the only girl I really felt a connection with.
Was it your mom?
I mean, like a non-family member girl.
It's your mom, wasn't it?
Not for real, nigga. Let's get
Was
off that topic, but
alright. Just wanted to talk about your mom. That's all. Oh, right. Fuck, your mom's dead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
Man, this is some top quality recording already. I've already got a fucking dumpster fire.
Oh, god damn it. I feel like an asshole now.
Oops.
I
Wowee.
wasn't trying to be a prick, just
Not nigga, sorry.
one.
But I wasn't gonna say anything that you said that. I was like, wow, dude, Dylan's being really mean right now. But I'm
Because
just
it's
not gonna
just
say anything.
it's just one of those things that you say, like when you don't have anything to say, you should say your mom or you.
Yeah.
Or
Nah,
some shit.
nigga. It's okay, man. It's
I
okay.
wasn't sure if you had realized and were just trying to like really just go for it.
No.
So I wasn't gonna say anything, and then you said it, and I was like, oh, okay.
No.
Oh god.
I'm just
Wowee.
genuinely that much of an idiot.
Shitpost Champloo, where we only make the edgiest of jokes.
Whoa.
This whole time I thought you were saying Shitpost Shampoo, and you were just fucking it up. Shitpost
No,
Champloo
no.
is a really good name.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Where do we possibly go from here?
Whoa. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Dylan, have you ever had somebody that you loved who wasn't a family member, a girl?
I mean, I know what you mean, but the way you phrased that was a little ambiguous.
Have you ever been in a relationship or at least had a crush on a female in your life?
Yeah, I've had crushes on girls all the time.
Have you had have you had GF?
No, not really. There were some girls in high school that I was interested in. But there's always something beyond my control, or beyond our control, that stopped anything from really happening. I will say this: I've never been like rejected, so it's never anything like that. I used to get real upset about it. I used to think like it used to really fuck with my confidence. But then after a while, I really like looked at the math and was like, man, there really wasn't that many people I was interested in. So I just take it day by day. I think that happens to a lot more people than people want to admit. Is folks that don't just don't make connections with other people, and just sort of flounder for a while. And I think it's a weird death spiral sort of thing where they won't connect with anyone when they're like young, when they think they're supposed to, and then as they get older, it eats away at their confidence and their character, until then they're suddenly so out of it that they just can't do it anymore.
I think I vaguely know what you're talking about, or understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, like there comes a point where like you make it into adulthood and you've still never had that connection with anyone, and you have built it within yourself that you never will, and because of that, you don't take the chances that would get you there.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that spiral, and then just I have very discerning tastes when it comes to women.
As we all do, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So just not many girls draw my attention. I should mention I've had like friends who were girls, so I'm not I'm not.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm.
yeah.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a misogynist. I respect women. Thank you.
With two V's.
Yeah.
Well,
My core point that I was tiptoeing around like a retard was that I don't have problems talking to women. I don't have problems connecting with women. I just haven't had someone that I wanted to connect to emotionally like that.
That it helps, like it works a lot better if like it's someone you knew beforehand.
yeah.
Because like with like Tifa, I knew her for like 7 or 8 months probably.
I think the movie thing of people meeting spontaneously and then falling in love doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen nearly as much as we're led to believe.
It does not, because that was
It
what
doesn't.
most of my relationships were.
The majority of friendships, or the majority of relationships, are built out of friendships, and the majority of friendships are sort of built from people who are put in proximity of each other long enough that they build up an affinity for each other. That's what makes the internet so weird. Is that you have to directly opt in to communities.
Well, I personally, there's only like 2 times I've ever like inherently just liked a girl. But I will discuss that. But first, Everett, can you go into more detail about how you cucked a guy in high school?
Did you do that?
Stop.
Did you actually cuck someone in high school?
Not knowingly, not knowingly.
I
Not,
that doesn't. That's not like that. Still counts.
Yeah,
If it's not malicious, it keeps you from being a monster, but it still counts.
yeah. Everett is not a monster because he didn't know, and I'm sure that he wouldn't have let it go on if he knew. But I mean, it's gotta feel pretty decent knowing that a girl picked you over a guy for a while. She was like, yeah.
no, she didn't.
Well, for a little bit, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that like the first person I dated, we dated for like probably half a year, and then like a while later, I found out that she was actually like dating someone else the entire time.
Oh, that's fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it was a guy that used to that this was when I was in junior high, that he had been going to the same junior high as me, and then he got transferred out and ended up at the same junior high as her.
That's weird. But if that's junior high, I feel like that barely counts.
Yeah, that's true.
Any relationship you have in middle school barely counts as
It's
like
okay.
even.
She puked on. It's okay. She puked on his dick. It's fine.
Wow, I can't believe you were cucking Max Hardcore. That's really impressive.
Now my question is, how did you find that little factoid out?
She told one of her friends because they were just talking about stuff. She told her best friend. Her best friend told people by accident.
What type of whore vomits on a dude's dick in middle school?
This was high school.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say
Yeah.
still.
That stuff was happening, and I guess her gag reflexes were bad.
I guess you dodged a bullet there.
It was only doing what it's meant to do.
Not like you, who has a god tier gag reflex.
Yeah, you're right. But as I said, I've actually had a bunch of girlfriends during high school. A couple girlfriends and a lot of one night stands.
Well, look at you, Chad Woozy.
You normie.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm extremely regretful.
Yo, when did Jackie get here?
You normie.
What's your workout pose, Woozy? Do you also Final Flash, or do you have like a do you do a special beam cannon?
Oh, I do some
physique.
I do some sentai poses.
I
Let
hope
out a hearty scream.
I hope yesterday Jackie did a special beam cannon instead of a final flash when he was done working out because it was Piccolo Day. Or
Gotta have your
I guess it
daily
was
dose,
two.
man.
I guess it was 2 days ago because now it's the 11th.
No, but as I was saying, I only don't regret one time I've had sex with a woman. The other times, like it felt meaningless, and it was something I don't exactly look fondly back on.
Yes,
Because
I've slept with hundreds of women, but have I ever been loved?
you kind of cut out for that last word.
Forget it. It's a dumb joke.
I still love you, baby. But
Yes.
I had one long-term girlfriend, and kind of regretfully, the only thing that really came out of that relationship was just we never had a connection or anything, and it was just kind of sex all the time, and that got really old, and eventually we split it off. We kind of got back together once, but that didn't last long either.
I hate to cut you off here, but I got a question. So when Thanos snaps his fingers, half of, like, at random, half of the universe is killed, right?
Yeah.
What were the odds that he would have been killed?
Well, I mean, you'd assume that he's immune to that, ain't that right?
I will say this, and obviously the movies are different, but in the comics at least, like, you're not. There was a what if comic where Norman Osborn got the Infinity Gauntlet, and then he brought his dad back to life to show him all the amazing things he's done, and his dad was like, "Yeah, you're still a little bitch." And Norman Osborn erased his dad from existence, and then it erased him from existence.
Yeah, that makes sense because if he never existed, he wouldn't exist.
That would have been the perfect way to end Infinity War. It's Thanos kills half of the life in the universe, but he's one of the half. And then Infinity War 2 is like, what the fuck do we do with the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah. But what I will say to all the incels in the audience, because that's the hot new buzzword.
I love incels.
That's the hot new descriptor.
Fuck, our incel was such a great place and now it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm so upset about that.
Dylan,
Yeah.
would you say that when it comes to your choice of Fate Girls that you are a Rincel?
Alright, podcast over. We're not doing this again.
And that's all, folks.
This was a bad idea.
I did it.
Da 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 da.
I do like to ruin everything.
Yeah. Like that dude whose life he ruined because his girlfriend was cheating on him with you the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, just clarifying, was that a joke or is this gonna be one of one?
I don't know. I'm just gonna do this whenever I feel the urge. I'll be honest. I mean, I haven't stopped recording, so if there's anything interesting past that point, I'll just keep going. I wonder if my biggest problem is that I just don't upload enough.
It might be that.
I'm curious if people will watch these if I keep uploading them. I wonder if there are people who are genuinely like they just like hearing me talk about things.
I mean, I like hearing you guys talk about shit. I mean, there's a reason why I come here even though I'm silent most of the time.
I guess that's true. You're in almost every voice chat and you rarely ever talk.
Well, I mean, that's also partially because I just kind of wait until I come up, or wait until somebody calls upon me before I talk, because
Right.
I'm naturally a quiet person as opposed to what this Shitpost Champloo podcast would suggest. But
I used to when I was in middle school, and so when I went to high school, I went to this art school for my last 2 years. But for my first 2 years, I actually took all my classes online from home. And so during the day, it was just me and my stepdad, who was unemployed at the time, which was not fun. And so to pass the time, instead of actually doing my work, because the way they did it was they just gave you like the full course at the start, and they were like, "Hey, here's the month's work, and do it bit by bit, day by day." And I wouldn't do anything, and then I would do it all at the end in like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So to pass time during the day when I was quote unquote supposed to be on, I would listen to podcasts and play video games. And that was for a long time the only that was the closest thing to human contact I had, because I wouldn't really talk to anyone in my family about anything. I was gonna make a point about how we're fulfilling that role for other people, but it kind of makes everyone listening to this sound really pathetic. So
Well, I mean, in a way, that's kind of what podcasts are at the very core.
I guess true.
That's kind of what videos are at the core of things.
True. Like there came a point where I stopped listening to podcasts because I stopped needing friends because I had them. And instead I would just talk to my friends, and then when I wasn't talking to my friends, I wanted to be entertained. I didn't want to talk to friends again. I wanted to do something else.
Well, I actually have a mildly related story. The reason I've imbibed the forbidden fruit of Japanese mobages is because at the very end of high school in 12th grade, I just had nothing left to do. I was already all set for graduation. I didn't want to care anymore. So all I would do through almost every single class, except for the ones I liked, was I just had my phone open and I was just playing Granblue and talking to you guys and not doing my work.
Yeah.
And I would get all these dirty looks from all the other fucking monkeys in the class who I never talked to.
all the fucking plebeians.
Yeah, but I just wouldn't do my work because I was already well set. They were like, "Hey, what you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just kind of here because I had to be here." Because I mean, I didn't talk to anyone in this class. I just kind of had the people on this Discord, and I had my autism games.
I was like that for about half of my classes in high school. In my senior year, certainly, I spent most of my classes around friends who I could talk to. And I was a very attentive student, but there were certainly classes where there was no one there I really talked to. I took remedial math because I was really fucking stupid. And I still kind of am. But, so, in remedial math, I was taking it with, students who were way younger than I was. And I don't think most of them were interested in talking to me, but every other class I did pretty good in, I would say.
Well, there's kind of an inherent bonus to being the oldest person in class, or a few years older than the average, because then everyone's like, "Yo, there's this older kid. He's got to be cool," and it's kind of how it was when I took Latin in 10th grade. I was with all the 8th graders in Latin 1. And I was just I was the coolest nigga in class.
There were a few classes I took where I was older, but it was not a restricted class. So I felt like in remedial math when I was there, I felt like there was this undercurrent of man, fucking, why is the retard here? Whereas I had other classes like journalism where it was just a hodgepodge of people from across the school. And so being in the older tier, I wasn't bothered by it. Because I knew what to do better than the other kids, and I would smear it in their face. I remember one time, this is the dumbest thing I'm ever gonna brag about in my life.
Go ahead.
In my journalism thing, every day we had to report on something. We had to bring in a story to talk about, however minor, however stupid, and I loved it. I loved doing that shit. Because I would read news sites and I would find shit about I would try to find really obscure, interesting shit. About nuclear power and space and shit like that, and I really looked forward to it. I really like doing it. It's kind of a prelude to this, I guess. And I remember one time this kid came in and he was talking about X-Men movies and how this is back in like 2015, 2014. No, this is 2014. And he was talking about how yeah, they're making a Deadpool movie. And it seems like he'll be in the next Avengers. And then I said like, well, that's not going to happen because different companies own those characters. Like, they're Marvel characters, but Fox owns the X-Men brand, and Marvel runs this. And I remember this kid who was like this real pretty boy. He looked like a kid who would have made a living taking selfies on Vine. That's what this kid looked like. He's one of those kids who like had perfect genetics, and he looked at me with such disgust because I had upstaged him. And I remember thinking to my, like, it was like, well, okay. He was also really gay. It was an art school, so a lot of people were really gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't, it's fine. It's fine.
I went to an art school for a semester.
One time I made a tranny cry.
There was just one kid in my school who I knew for like 3 years, and to this day I still don't know if they're actually female or male. Their name was Trevor, and they looked very vaguely male, but they also like a lot of like feminine. It was like a man with a lot of feminine like features replacing what would like be there for like a normal man, and had like the voice of female, and I still don't know what exactly it was.
The first day I went to my art school, I saw someone from afar. I was like, wow, she's pretty cute. And then I met them in class, and I was like, oh, god damn it, this is a guy. Shit. I was ahead of the curb on the Trapno state.
Yeah, you're right.
I had a writing class in my junior year. And it was one of those hodgepodge classes I was talking about. So like I had like two underclassmen who like really liked hanging out with me, and I ended up kind of taking them under my wing because I was really good at writing. That's the one thing that my entire life I can say with complete confidence I'm really good at. I'm really good at writing. You give me something to write about, and I can do it, real well.
I mean, shit, man, you got some real good scripts to pop out.
Yeah. Thank you. So, and I wrote something, and I remember my teacher was praising me for it. And we had to do these things where we had to read out our own things, and then we would sort of talk about them. And I don't remember what I wrote. It was so fucking long ago. But I remember talking, because I also had like art classes, because, it's an art school. And our teacher was teaching us about Jackson Pollock. I almost called him James Pollock. So Jackson Pollock and his bullshit paintings where he just threw paint at a canvas, literally, for like 2 hours, and then they sold for like millions. And how, like, in the 60s, art was considered a very feminine thing. So the dudes who were artists would like try to hyper masculinize themselves. Like, they'd wear all black and they'd chain smoke and drink whiskey and shit to appear like tougher than they were. It was sort of a great thing. And I was talking about it, and the other kid just sort of chimes in out of nowhere and like very distressed, like, well, I don't remember exactly what they said. It was like yeah, well, people have expectations for you, and sometimes you don't live up to them, and sometimes, those expectations are bullshit and whatever, and just like started crying very viscerally. And then like two kids standing next to him like put their hands on his shoulder like, no, it's fine. And then the teacher kind of moved on. I was like, I'm not done talking about my thing. That's bullshit. It's not my fucking fault the tranny's sad. Let me finish taking questions. I worked hard on this. Fuck that kid. And the worst part of it was, I remember talking to that kid a few other times. I would try to talk to him and say like, "Hey, Carl, how you doing?" And he would be like, "Hi." Like he would like you would think that I had literally cornered this kid and like gotten right up in his face and been like, "Hey, Carl, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Nothing, nothing at all."
Yeah, those types of people just have a never-ending persecution complex.
Oh, it's the fucking worst. She. I don't know.
It's
Whatever. I never actually found out which way they were transitioning. I assume female to male because he was kind of pudgy, and people called him Carl.
yeah.
But like he would always sort of talk about how like he didn't want to talk to me. I think he thought I was his bully. And I get the feeling I don't have any way of proving this. I get the feeling he would talk to other students about how I was like the worst person in school and shit like that.
What a fucking gay.
Yeah, I didn't have very many classes with him outside of that one. But I don't think he ever liked my presence. And it probably irritated the shit out of him that the teachers loved me.
I trying to think of interesting things that happened at my high school. A lot of fighting.
Yeah.
I know Seamus's brother. I was on the bus with him like a couple months ago, and we were talking. He said all the 10th graders go to the skateboard park near the school during their break and smoke weed and pop Xanax and then skateboard.
I feel like that's a combination that doesn't work. Or I guess what does Xanax do to you? Because I guess if they both calm you down,
it makes you really happy.
Okay. Maybe. I guess that could work, depending on what type of happy it makes you.
There's that, and then there's the story where two girls got into a fight, and they're doing. You ever seen that thing, like videos where girls are fighting? They're just kind of swinging their hands.
Yeah, girls they're fucking awful at fighting. They got no form. They got no artistry.
So there's two girls doing that, and then one of them just managed to like land a hit to the face on the other one, and so then one of them's on the ground, and the one who's standing up is wearing steel toes. And let me tell you, boy, did she stomp on that girl's head.
Oh, that's gruesome.
Holy shit.
So then the girl got up after a few minutes and walked into the school, blood coming out of her head, and walked into the bathroom and passed out.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I have two slight stories to tell. One is just kind of a minor one. These two black chicks were getting like really feisty because they're both fighting after the same black dude. So what eventually happened was they got into a stab fight. They both brought some knives and they're making each other pin cushions. I think one of the girls had to go to the hospital. And that was that.
Oh boy.
And the other one is the legend of. I actually knew this kid. He for some reason he really liked me because he knew that I went to HN. It was the kid in my. It was the kid in my German class, and he was no fucking joke like a 10th grade skinhead.
He autographs your yearbook. He drew a little Pepe.
I mean, he put a swastika in it, but
in his eye.
Like he was an actual. He was an actual Nazi. He would always talk about how the next Reich is coming. He would always give the Hitler salute to the teacher, to the German teacher.
Trying to think the other. What are some other things that happened in my high school?
I wasn't done.
Okay.
And he was feared by the black kids because he was the only white kid who would jump black kids. by himself because this nigga, he was like fucking jacked. Like he had muscles on his muscles. He was like a pale ginger, no hair on his head. Like ginger. And he was the only kid that the blacks feared.
He was the only one that the blacks respected for his pure
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. Dude, I saw this fucking kid one time, like, I was driving by on the street. This kid, he was beating up two of, like, the black kids in my school.
Whoever could
It
beat
was
him would be
fucking nuts.
whoever could beat him would be christened Black Panther. You walk into school one day and the dude looks directly at the black kids, and he said, "In a few years' time, you're gonna be really happy and then really sad." Man, that was super weird. That how Infinity War opened.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that they open and Thanos looks directly at the camera and he says, "If this film is being screened in Compton, leave. This is your only warning." It was super, super dark. Very effective though. I hear the theaters in Compton refused to screen it after the initial screening.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh man.
Oh man, it was it was a pretty fun year, even though it was boring and I was extremely lonely during that time.
There's something about the Infinity Gauntlet in Marvel. There are little things in the Marvel movies that irritate me that really shouldn't, because they're very minor changes made from the comics, but they really like irritate me to an annoying degree. And like the first one is in the comics, Captain America's shield disperses energy. So like you know those panels where like Hulk is dropping both fists onto Captain America's shield, and he should be crushed under his shield, right?
Yeah.
Well, it like disperses the energy outward, so he doesn't feel that hit. And in the movies, it doesn't happen. Like there are scenes where people hit the shield and it knocks Captain America back. And one of those is in Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange like leaves his universe and goes to another universe and uses an Infinity Stone. And literally the only caveat, the only downside to the Infinity Gauntlet is that the stones don't work outside of their native universe. And for some reason, that gets under my skin like nothing else, and it's really stupid that it does, because it really shouldn't bother me at all. Did someone... Wait, hold on. Does Sweet say Sonichu spotted on Grindr?
No, Sonic Fox.
Oh, Sonic. Okay. Sonic Fox.
My question is, who exactly is that?
He's that furry fighting game player.
You see, he gets posted around a lot, because he's like... He was like the best Mortal Kombat X player in the world.
Yeah.
Almost definitively. And he rose to notoriety recently because he's a really big Dragon Ball FighterZ player. And that's like the new hot game. And he's been branching out into other games, but now like so people who normally would never meet him or see him are finding him and finding out he's a furry who wears the same dumb fox hat to every tournament. And in the most recent one, he played like the entire tournament in his fursuit.
And he won.
And he got real far. I think he did win.
He's a gay black furry.
Well, my question is, how good is he with his fingers?
That's a good question. Probably not very good, because it's mostly like palm stuff. Your fingers don't really do a whole lot when you're playing. I guess depending on the type of combos, maybe with the buttons, but it's mostly like palm
Well,
work.
it all depends on the technique, my man.
There was an image that went around for a while where it was like the billing for the final like Mortal Kombat X fight for a tournament, and they allowed Sonic Fox to put his furry OC on the billing. So it's
I
like
think I remember that.
it's a cutout of a normal dude, and then behind him is like a blue foxkin, and it's the dumbest thing in the world. He's such a fantastic. It's way better that like not only is he obnoxious about it, but that he's like the best player in the world.
Chuck really hates him.
I would imagine.
He's like, he ruins everything.
Yeah, Chuck's not a fan.
Yeah.
Chuck's a faggot though.
Yeah.
He takes fighting games too seriously. I remember one time he told me, you always low heavy kick. And the way he said it was the same cadence I use when I yell at Caesar because he fucks some dude for Taco Bell. Like when Caesar starts talking about the white race and how other races are inferior, every single time I yell in the exact same cadence, like you've literally fucked a man for food. And that's how Chuck talked to me about always using heavy low kick. I didn't realize that the kicks meant different shit. I didn't realize that a heavy low kick was slower than a light low kick, alright? No one told me. The tutorial doesn't tell you what those moves do. It just gives you a chain of moves to do, and it never tells you how or when to do them.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Skullgirls had a pretty decent little tutorial on that.
Skullgirls was definitely really good about it, about teaching you what those moves do. But I find most tutorials, not just for fighting games, but all games, don't tell you when you should do the moves.
Skullgirls is so good.
Like, even games I really love, like Metal Gear Rising, doesn't properly explain that you can chain together parries. Like, ever. And the game kind of forces you to do that, but...
Wait a fucking second. Wait a fucking second. You could chain parries?
Yeah. See, exactly. Because it's like, a parry is like, you move the stick toward and you press square at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, I was like, okay, so do I hold square to chain parries? Do I hold the analog stick, but press the button for each attack? Do I do the full motion every time? And the game never tells you. And when you're playing the game normally, you actually don't get enough enemies that you can parry chain. It's mostly bosses. So it wasn't until Jetstream Shan that I mastered it. Of course, once you do that, it's a completely different game, and the game's way fucking better, but still, like, the game doesn't properly explain that at any point.
Yeah.
God, I'm hungry. Alright, I think that's enough. I'll cut it here. Sure, fuck it. We'll see if anyone actually gives a shit. Probably not.
That's all, folks.
I'd be down for doing this again.
Sure. I'll just start recording these more often whenever we have more than 2 people in VC.
Yeah, we should talk about like future topics, because this one was like more like love in school.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, fuck it. I think we work better when we're just saying bullshit. Who cares?
Yeah, just talk about whatever.
Nah, whatever.
If it was like specific topics, I don't know, man.
I'm glad Kanye West is a racist.